I get to introduce a friend of mine. Gervais Tompkin with Gensler has been a friend for 20 years. And I've tried to recruit him. I have tried to get him to leave another office. I have worked with him. I've competed with him, for jobs. Left the room when he goes in. That's always horrible. And now I get to introduce him. This is the first time I've introduced you at a conference. His work is phenomenal. He's one of the most bright and creative people I know. I kind of wish I was him. Favorite pastimes include garage bathing, and I have no idea what that is, mushroom hunting, and fermenting foods. And he is going to be introducing and interviewing Ford Fish, who is the Senior Vice President at Salesforce.com. As many of you know, Salesforce.com is basically taking that little corner of the city at Mission and Market and Beale and Fremont right in there. Incredible growth. We're so lucky to have them here. 14,000 employees now in 28 countries, or at least at the time this was written. And Gervais is going to take us on a little trip with Ford. So with that, go away.
All right, great. So I guess I'll just raise my cards. We're doing the non-clicker version of advancing slides, and thank you so much. So it's great. So thanks for agreeing to do this.
I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you all.
And a lot of the subjects have been set up, and so what I'm going to do is kind of breeze through some kind of contextual content. We're going to spend most of the time talking and asking questions with Ford. So this is kind of at the start of the whole city's series of talks, right? It just kind of goes all the way to the end, right? The city scene. And so I'm going to presume that everybody in this room, I know a lot of you, everybody's up to speed on the issues. And, cities and innovations are a big thing right now. And so what we thought we'd talk about, not necessarily predicting into the future, but looking at a forward thinking and a forward living company now and what they're doing in cities now, okay? And so in order to, now that I've said what Salesforce is, Ford can actually, maybe you can actually tell us a little bit about Salesforce and
Sure.
how they're different, Ford, from other places you've been, maybe?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So in case you don't know Salesforce, we're the world's largest customer relationship management company, fastest growing technology company. We were born here in San Francisco 15 years ago, just celebrated our anniversary, and this is our headquarters. And we make basically social and mobile tools that allow companies of all sizes to really, there are sales products, there are service products, there are marketing products that allow you to connect with your customers in a whole new way, in the modern way, in the digital way. And we also have a large platform where you can develop applications. So if you have customers and you want to develop an application from them, Salesforce can give you the tools to do that. And we are very focused on the cities. That's where our customers are, and that's where we believe the employees are. At least we found them to be there. So you'll find us a little different in that we made a very conscious decision a long time ago not to do a suburban campus, but to stay in the city, do an urban campus, and we have a similar approach all around the world in the major cities around the world.
Yep. Okay, well, let's go. So I think Philip had this book up. Stephen Johnson actually just moved to the Bay Area last year, I think. And this book is all about clusters and cities and innovation and Click. And the cities and the internet have a lot in common in that they're really efficient systems for connecting everything together. And also, we're probably all tired of hearing about the third place. But what's important about the third place, everybody's talking about diversity and choice and variety. Well, the city is, especially the urban portions of cities, are the most efficient systems for creating third places. And so, when you're talking about cities and innovations in third places, they're all tied together. Now, the challenge, though, is if you're doing a headquarters and you're doing it in the city, how do you do it to leverage all those assets? And if anybody knows the building complex that Gensler's in, a tech company moved into there, and what happened was let's see, the Starbucks closed, right? A Starbucks closing, crazy. Burrito shop closed, sandwich shop closed, brew pub closed, and so there was this criticism immediately went out that the tech companies are killing the ground that they're occupying, right? Which is really ironic. And what's interesting about Salesforce is, they're again not occupying the edges of cities, but they're occupying the downtown centers. And you kind of think that's brilliant in one way, but another way, tech companies, especially ones that are taking risks, have typically lived on the edges because they're less expensive. And Ford, you guys are renting the most expensive real estate in the most expensive cities in the world. How are you doing that?
Well, you got to make a decision about where you want to be, and as I say, with the cities, that's where the innovation is, that's where our customers, that's where our employees are. So yes, we are in the most expensive real estate. And it is a challenge because like all firms, we have to be conscious about real estate as a percentage of revenue for the company. But there's a couple things that we do that affect that to try and mitigate that high cost. One is that we have a substantial number of our employees who work virtually. They don't come into an office at all. We have a substantial growing number of employees who do the free desking. They work hoteling, all the different terms for that. And a decreasing number of employees who actually have assigned seats. So that's an evolution that will continue on. We also have dramatically reduced the square feet per person that we used to have. We've gone from a couple of years ago being way over 200 square feet per person down to about 175 now, and I think we'll get down to 150. But all those things help with the cost of being in the city. But the only way it works is in that kind of density is if you really do change the way people work and provide a different kind of space that's much more, has a lot more collaborative space.
Okay. So let's see. Sorry. Next click. Yeah, I don't know. How many years ago was this, Ford? 4 or 5 years ago?
Actually, it was only a little less than 3 years ago.
Yeah, and so if you're from the Bay Area, you may remember the story that Salesforce had bought a piece of property in Mission Bay and was building a corporate campus designed by a world-famous architect, and then literally just before it was entitled, the CEO made a decision: we're not doing that. And what's cool is as Ford said, this story hasn't been told. Would you be willing to talk about it today? And he said yes.
Sure,
So
sure.
Like,
this is near and dear to my heart because this is what brought me to Salesforce, is to build this 2 million square foot campus. And they came and said, we've got 14 acres on the bay in San Francisco. Would you like to help us build this campus? I didn't have to think about that one too long. We spent a year working on it, and then a couple of things happened. We realized that while it's great being in the city, and it wasn't really in the heart of the city where all the activity was. So we were going to have to kind of build our own city down there. We were actually going to build a town center with all the shops and stores and everything, and that was a bit problematic. Not that we couldn't, but it just why build it if it's already in the city? It also is a question of time, that we're a very fast-growing company, and it takes a long time to build these campuses. But the key thing really was opportunity, that an opportunity came up for 500,000 square feet at 50 Fremont Street, and that was a pivotal point for us. And I think it's indicative of Salesforce, but it's also indicative of a lot of technology firms that they're very flexible, very nimble, and when something happens, and things happen faster and faster all the time, you really do have to be able to change direction. So we made a major change in direction and have since really worked to build our campus right in the heart of the city. And really the corner of Fremont and Mission is where we are. Started with 50 Fremont, now we have 350 Fremont, or 350 Mission being built, and Salesforce Tower being built. So that is our new campus. And it's got all the amenities that we would have had to build. They're all right here, all around us.
Okay, so I think the next one in one of our videos. Let's try it. Oh yeah, no, this is the other thing is, sort of interesting Ford about Salesforce's philosophy about being integrating and being a true urban partner. The sort of the approach to working with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a different workforce. I know it was said earlier it's not all about millennials, but it's a lot about millennials, whether you like it or not. I mean, the facts everybody talks about is that, what is it, 10 years from now, 50% of the workforce will be millennials. 15 years from now, it'll be 75%. So you can't ignore all that. And what does that workforce want? They want all the things that the city has to offer. And they also work very differently. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24/7 workplace now, particularly for the new workforce. So that just leads to a broader set of things you need to deal with and understanding what your employees need to be successful and to feel good about work. I mean, I think earlier it was talked about some comments about workplace. Well, the best workplace is a place you're really happy to be, right? That you like it, and that it fits your lifestyle, that it's a flexible workspace. And part of that increasingly is for our employees, and I think a lot of the new generation and the older generation is the community. It's about community. Yeah, you can stay home in your home office, but there's something missing there. You need the community to really get the best out of you. And I mean the community in a very broad sense. It's your community in the office, all your fellow workers, your customers, and cohorts, but it's also all of the things that a city has to offer. So we're very focused on partnering with the city. And all the new workforce is flooding into the cities around the world. And there are a lot of problems that need to be solved in the cities. And it's not going to happen. The federal government isn't going to fix all these things. It's really clear that the cities have to figure it out, and the cities have to figure it out with the businesses in the cities, with the citizens of the cities. So we're very much into partnering. Salesforce, when it was founded, Mark Benioff set up a foundation, so 1% of the company's equity, 1% of our product, and 1% of our employees' time goes into helping the community in various ways, charitable organizations. And I will tell you, in San Francisco alone, this year so far, our employees have spent 27,000 hours working in San Francisco on different philanthropic activities. And for me personally, what I like to do is, it's got to be real estate related, right? So Habitat for Humanity, you can actually build houses here in San Francisco. So we work on that. My team and I work on that from time to time, and some homeless issues that we're working on too. But it is about partnering. If you're going to be in a city, we all have to succeed together. It's not just about a business, it's everybody.
So, Ford, you decided, and again, I love that Mark is such a kind of intuitive decision maker. So he'd say, okay, downtown's where the action is. We basically got to can this campus. Let's go downtown. So I think the next one's the video. Let's try that one. Dial in for videos. Oh, now, right, it won't work. We literally checked it out. How funny is that? Okay.
Hilarious.
It is. It's just great. We're just making the joke that the sun goes up and the sun comes down and embedded videos never work. And it's still true. Well, anyway, okay, there's this great video that just shows all the construction that's going on in San Francisco right now. There's something like there's Manhattan level density from Folsom past King Street for residential. There's so many different towers under construction. The Trans Bay is happening. Salesforce Tower is going up. The Foster's Tower is going up around the street. It is an astounding level of change. And Ford, it's interesting that you actually grew up in San Francisco.
I did,
yeah.
yes.
And what do you think about all these changes in the city, and how has it affected the way you feel as a real estate professional in the town?
So there's some things that have not changed at all, and there's some things that have changed pretty dramatically. And on the things that haven't changed side, and that's good that they haven't changed, this really is a unique city. It's always been a very open city, a very accepting city. Everybody's welcome. New ideas are welcome. And that's what a lot of the strength of the city is. And I don't think that's gone away. I think it's actually gotten stronger over time. And hence the earlier remarks on the community, that we succeed. It's a great city because it's a great community. And I have been fortunate to work a lot of places around the world, and this is a very unique place in many, many ways.
Oh, you're going to try it? Okay, let's try it again. It's really short. Yeah, there we go. Is this the end of it? Yeah, all right. Exactly. I'm telling you, it was wonderful. Yeah, this is the end of it. Yeah. So that's okay. Let's just keep moving. Yeah, that's right. So this is actually that you missed all the stuff showing the city pop up, and this is that you've arrived at the end of the video, which wasn't what I wanted to show. But this is the Transbay. Actually, the Transbay exits right out onto the plaza in front of Salesforce. But let's go on to the next series of slides. So
I don't
yeah.
think I've finished answering your other part of the question,
Okay,
which was,
thanks, Lloyd.
so what has changed about the city? And it clearly has gotten much more dynamic. When I was younger, there was no South of Market. You didn't go South of Market, and now look at South of Market. So it's amazing the growth that's gone on in here, and with all that comes a lot of challenges. And I think the city's doing a good job of dealing with them, but we just all have to recognize that we all have a seat at the table on that.
Yeah, right. So, as we're looking at the downtown campus, it's, that dashed line down there, it's like thinking about how far can people walk across or go up and down and stay in the 5-minute zone, which as we found is about the tolerance level. But what's interesting, it's not enough just to think about amenities. The question is, how do you set up the culture of the workforce so that people feel engaged and can be fluid? One of Salesforce's kind of monikers is social, mobile, open. And so if you can be social, mobile, open, then you can actually get people interacting in the city. And so let's dial for dollars again. I'm forgetting my next slide, but let's check it out. Might it be a video? No. But so this corner is an amazing corner, with all sorts of things around it. Here, let's try again for 10 points. Yay! All right, so one of the interesting things about modern work is that when we shifted from analog to digital, all the information, all the collaboration materials disappeared into screens. And when you talk about people being in the office or outside the office, one of the big differentiators is how connected you are to work. So there's a talk about whiteboarding or not. So one of the things that is a classic, Salesforce is the C-suite is always challenging Ford to innovate, and their question was, okay, we have Dreamforce. People come there, people are engaged, they're having intense physical interactions, they're having intense analog interactions, or having intense digital interactions. Bring that stuff to the office. And if you can bring it to the office, then when somebody comes in the office, they can be immediately engaged. And when you set up an office like this and you come in and you're aware of what teams are working on, there's zero time, kind of like setting up in the conference room for you to get re-engaged with your teams working on, then suddenly being mobile is super effective. And so that we've been working really hard together to set up the workspace so that people can be that fluid. And so then we ran this experiment. And the experiment was, so this is a space that's right adjacent to a food court. So it is first floor in Rincon. And the question was, could we build a space that was disattached from the workplace, that was set in the city, that we didn't really, it wasn't advertised for, right? Just let word of mouth happen. And we provided coffee but no food. And say, would it work? And I think let's see, the next one might be some data on it. So the very first day, word of mouth, the measure was how many coffee drinks served. So 400 coffee drinks were served on the first day. It opened at noon, word of mouth, right? Sarah, who does the highly invasive privacy analytics into badge reader data, we asked Sarah, okay, can you tell us how many people from how many different buildings are coming and using it? And so this came back 40. And I'm like, Sarah, but there aren't 40 locations. You must mean floors. And she said, no, Gervais, every building in the city is coming to this. Those are the number of cities from Salesforce that come to the space. That's mind-blowing, right? And it's been open for how long, Ford?
I guess about a month, a little over a month.
Yeah, a little over a month.
Yeah.
And 50 non-Salesforce visitors a day, so people are bringing in clients, they're bringing in vendors. So this is our first test about being creative about providing amenities in the city. And Ford, what's the reaction been internally?
Hey, yeah, it's you can see from the numbers here, it's pretty spectacular, and it's kind of like a flash mob or something that happened. we purposely don't have standards at Salesforce about space. I mean, we have some general idea about our brand. So if you come to one of our offices, you'll know it's Salesforce, mainly because of the bright colors and some other things that we use. Koa wood, as you can see on the desk down here in the picture. But we try to stay in touch with our employees. We have tools, Chatter's our tool that we use. It's kind of like Facebook for business, right? So you can know what's going on, what people are thinking about, and we get real-time feedback. So we're always experimenting with space. And this was just the latest thing that we had actually just opened up the first floor, which is like 85,000 square feet of developers on a floor above. And we've got some more floors that are opening up. So that was all brand new. That was a whole new thing. And we said, well, let's do something totally different down on the ground floor. Even though we gave them all these collaborative and social spaces upstairs, everybody flooded down to this new place because it was out of the workspace, but it was a workspace. And people are, I'm even walking over there and I'm 3 blocks away. And I'm not going for the free lattes. I'm going over there because it's a cool hangout place. I get to see people and I get to work if I want to work, but it's just kind of, it's like I'm in control. And I think that's what people like about it, is they're in control of their lives more. So we're going to do a lot more of these things. And we're going to continue to experiment.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So, if think from a facility standpoint, if you can actually subtract that expensive fixed asset called the kitchen, right? Which, again, it just pins you down in a building, sucks up a lot of space, costs a lot of money. You take that out of the equation, and then you say, okay, then you've got the cafeteria seating space. Well, who really likes cafeteria seating spaces anyway? You know, as designers, we try to make them work, but basically they're just kind of factory floors for eating and socializing. So then once you take the kitchen away, you would never actually put a cafeteria back, right? So then you put this thing that's kind of like a collaborative workspace in there. And, so I think what's been really fun and interesting is, this to us is a sign that all these traditional amenities are kind of a habit. They're what was it called? A default setting of the past. And, if you're moving into the city and we have this sort of social, mobile, open, networked society that we're in, I think that we can blow the hat off a lot of amenities and actually create much more engaged and cost-efficient workplaces. So I think that's kind of the spiel.
Yeah, I agree. It's been, it's an ever-evolving process here, and being in the cities offers so many rich amenities in terms of the restaurants and shops and art and everything else and all the diverse culture. So we don't need to duplicate that. We just need to give people another place to work, maybe a quiet place to work. And someplace you don't necessarily have to be connected all the time. I think that's one of the things that's really overlooked these days, is that people do need those spaces where you can just go get away completely and be really quiet about things. And that's not easy in a lot of workplaces. So we try to provide a wide range of different work formats for people, whether it's different size meeting rooms, heavy technology, no technology, meditation room, whatever.
Yeah, because if you're going to live that intense lifestyle, you need to be able to recharge.
You got to have choice, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting as we're kind of having an ongoing dialogue with the Salesforce employees, and what's interesting is if you ask them if someone wants a cafeteria or not, they basically say free lunch. Yes, I want a cafeteria. But if you say, well, please give me the cafeteria score in relationship to all these other things, guess where the cafeteria falls? Way down at the bottom of the list. Okay.
Before questions.
No, I think we're ready for questions.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I have one. Explain, what are you doing in other cities? I mean, I'm aware of what you're doing in San Francisco, and how are you linking your campuses, or are you?
Sure, that's a great question. So we're taking the same approach. Now, San Francisco is our home, so this is where we have the vast majority of our developers are here, and a large number of our employees are here. But we also are doing similar things around the world. So there is now a Salesforce Tower in London that we've consolidated everybody. It's in the heart of the city. It's the exact same thing as you're going to find here in terms of location, prime location. We just leased a fabulous building at the base of the Eiffel Tower, a whole building. Now these aren't towers, right? So it's Salesforce Center or Centra, whatever, in Paris. But right in the heart of things. Same thing in Tokyo. If you know Tokyo, at the Marunouchi train station, the heart of Tokyo, looking over the Imperial Palace, that's where Salesforce is in a tall tower there. So we're doing this around the world. It's just the way that's where our customers are, that's where we feel our employees want to be, and that's why we're there. And linking together, I mean, that's what we do as a company. That's the products we sell, allow you to link to everybody, anywhere, all the time. So we're a very social, mobile, open company, and everybody seems to communicate very well all the time. We don't have we're toying with the idea of having actually in all the staff rooms TVs that have other offices kind of rotating through so you can say hi to people around the world. We haven't done that yet, and there hasn't been a huge need to, but everybody's pretty well connected.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Brian, we kind of asked in a survey, which things helped employees develop new social relationships and be the most connected, and kind of listed all the usual suspects. And it's actually events. You know, the sort of working on philanthropic missions together, company meetings, that the staff at Salesforce is incented. Part of your career advancement is how well you're socially networked. And it just, being socially networked is so, I was walking through the Salesforce Faces Architect, I'd like to work there. I've never had people would say, excuse me, we haven't met. Excuse me, we haven't met. I'm like, what's going on? It's a really unusual place in that way. Yeah. Yeah, here. Peter, you have one, and then.
Yeah, okay. Quickly, you know,
Oh, what, I'm sorry, yes? You would like us to repeat the question?
I was going to say, if I didn't have a mic, I had a quick question.
All right, so Peter's first.
Sorry.
No, I'll be quick.
My bad.
So Brookings Institute is really interested in innovation districts and sort of removing or creating greater porosity between employees, partners, academic institutions. And going back to my earlier panel on quantification, are you looking at any measurements around open innovation, co-created product development that might be coming from your really wonderful, you know, cafe setting? Any thoughts on?
You know, what's so interesting about Salesforce is that that Salesforce gives its products away to young companies and nonprofits, and then establishes like development partnerships with all. It's been in Salesforce's DNA to work in this super open way.
Yeah, so we have a lot of contractors that actually are in our space. So it's not just Salesforce employees. So there's a lot of contractors, and we have a huge number of partners around the world that we work with, so that help integrate our technology into other companies. So it's a very collaborative place. We do work closely with them, and really we've been the most innovative company the last 4 years in a row running, voted by Forbes magazine. And the reason it is because we really are close to our customers to know what they're looking for, and with our partner base to be sure we can create that for them.
And so Peter, on that score, so you know, it's the culture, and Salesforce is doing it. I mean, what's been interesting about the Rincon space is because it's like a co-work space, even though it's not sort of no one has a membership to it. It means, and you do badge swipe into it. You do. But the thing is that you can go there and you're guaranteed that you're going to have an interesting, nice place to get a cup of coffee and to work and have a conversation. So people go there, people work there every day as a choice.
Great concept.
Yeah.
Last question.
Peter may have touched on my question very much so, but I think what I wanted to ask is a lot of companies today have talked about community and open space and transparency, but it all seems to tie back to their employee base. And I'm starting to, I guess my question is Salesforce looking to partner with other companies to create spaces where their respective employees can pull together and work in a community that's more collaborative across companies versus what's presently specific to each company that they're doing for their specific employees only?
So we do work with other companies all the time, but we also have the number one value in our company is trust. And that's all about security, right? And particularly in a digital world and with the internet and everything, it's something we just need to be mindful about. So it's, we do bring people in to work in the office with us, other partners and all, but we have some pretty strict protocols around all that, which we have to, just to be sure we're keeping the right trust with our customers.
You know, it's like, look, every developer floor that we're doing now, there's the main community hub, and then there's these big rooms that can turn into a kind of a project war room. So, you know, before they can kind of get sort of a better system set up in order to support that kind of intense work with a partner, you know, it's set up so that you don't have to go into the developer space in order to kind of have that kind of a work session with a partner.
Let's